Welcome back to Doing Life Radio. I'm Sam.
And I'm Joyce. We're a married couple living in South Jersey, talking about all things life with a special focus on food, fitness, and faith.
And this time we're talking a little bit about food, right?
Yeah, we're talking about omegas.
Omega what?
We're talking about omega 3's versus omega 6's, what they are, how you get them in your body, if you even need them, and we're gonna give you a lot of information.
It is a ton of information, but hang in there because we do put it all in a nutshell. We give you the basics there towards the end. And just a little side note, if I sound less manly,
why? What do you mean?
I cut my beard before this podcast.
Oh yeah, he did. He looks like a completely different person if you can't see him.
Lost inches off my face. And yeah, so if I sound a little less manly, it's because I'm high in omega 6s and less on what?
Omega 3's.
No, I was going to say facial hair.
Oh, okay.
Hang with us, hey, like us, and share us. We greatly appreciate it. And you are in for a lot of information, life-changing information, so stay with us. Okay, so over the last week or so, you have been staring at your phone, taking notes nonstop, it seems like.
Yeah.
When I'm in the corner working out, being very diligent in doing my house duties.
Right.
You are, I hear the voice of another man in the corner, and I'm wondering,
that would be YouTube.
What in the world is going on? Right. So you have been doing a ton of research. What in the world have you been checking out?
Okay, so you guys already know I am obsessed with podcasts, and I'm slowly bringing that obsession onto YouTube. I fell down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? Like you find one little thing and you're like, oh, I wonder what that's all about. And then before you know it, you're down this rabbit hole and you weren't even going there.
You're watching parent fails and the kids are falling all over the place. And it's just hilarious. I love those trails.
I think our rabbit holes might be slightly different.
Okay.
But I did tell Sam recently that I was concerned about our omega 3 to omega 6 ratio, and he just looked at me like a deer in the headlights, and I said we needed to do some major changes to our diets and that I wanted to talk about it. And in typical Sam fashion, he was like, save it for the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, things would have been so much easier, I guess, months ago or years ago if we just had the podcast.
We could always just have our discussions on air.
We could have skipped a whole lot of awkward conversations. Yeah. Instead, we're going to have awkward conversation right here in front of you. You are actually going to experience me learning about what my life is going to look like over the next months, weeks, years, whatever it might be.
Yeah, so literally we haven't had this conversation yet because he truly wanted me to save it for the podcast.
So it's just a little behind-the-scenes information, and I do another program called Meet Your Minister, shameless plug, on Quinn Broadcasting. It's a local Comcast 22, where weekly I interview different pastors from the local area, and they come in, and immediately pastors tend to be type A outgoing personalities. That's just kind of how they gravitate towards it. That tends to be what they are. Immediately, we're jumping into conversation. Like, they want to know me. They want to know how the program's going. I want to know them, how it's going. And I have to hit the brakes and be like, wait, stop. We cannot talk right now, because if we talk now, save it for the show. Same thing. Joyce and I do that at home. She'll start down a trail, and I'll be like, stop.
Save it for the podcast.
Don't talk to me.
That's his favorite thing to say to me.
Well, how about the kids' schedule? Save it for the podcast.
Well, maybe not.
It gets me out of a lot of things, just saving it for the podcast. So now you know where we're at.
I was wondering where you were going with that plug. That was weird, but okay, well, I got it now. I got it now.
I'm dropping things, and hopefully someone's picking them up.
All right. Anyway, back to your health.
Omega 6s, omega 3s.
Right.
One obviously is twice as good as the other.
Well, you would think.
Right.
But no. Okay, so I've been hearing all these things. We know inflammation isn't good for your body, and we want to be more anti-inflammatory. And I keep hearing people talk about omega 3s and how they're so vital and how we're not getting enough. And I really just got down this rabbit hole of what's going on with these omegas, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure your first question is, what are they?
Well, that was going to be my thing. How's it spelled? Is it omega, like alpha and omega, still same spelling and everything?
Omega, like the last letter of the Greek alphabet. That's what it's actually named after, the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Okay. So omega 3s and omega 6s are polyunsaturated fatty acids.
Polyunsaturated fatty acids. It's a whole lot of verbiage.
It's really not that important. Just know that they are essential fatty acids.
Okay.
Why do you think they're essential?
Because you need them to survive.
That's true. You need them to survive, but that's not why we call them
love-
essential fatty acids.
I love being put on the spot where everyone now knows that I'm not the smart one in this
No, you are.
relationship. Wow. Okay. Total assurance. Okay. Now I feel like I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Anyway, we call them essential fatty acids because you must get them through your diet.
Okay. I missed the essential part. I was focused on the fatty acids part. So essential fatty acids, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They're essential fatty acids. It's essential because you must get it through your diet.
Gotcha.
There are other fatty acids, such as omega-9s, but they're not essential, not because we don't need them, but because your body can create them.
There's a 9.
Relax. So we're going to talk about the 3 and the 6 because those are the ones that we have to consume in our diet to survive, really. I mean,
Gotcha.
you have to have them.
Okay.
The problem is here in like the Western diet, our omega 6 to 3 ratios are so off the charts bad. And when you look at the side effects and what's going on in our world, it's kind of like, we should be doing something about this.
Wow.
It's really, for me, it's really mind blowing. And when I really started making my way down the rabbit trail, there isn't a ton of information. I mean, there was enough for me to find, but it's not like when you search keto or something like that. There was really only a couple of doctors who really speak on the topic, at least that I could find online.
Right.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah. To be completely honest, I'm still a little lost.
Yeah.
You're gonna drive this thing home.
It's super exciting.
I do love how you get excited about these things, and I love that I'm gonna learn something.
Yes, I hope so.
I
Yeah.
don't think I'm gonna be able to meet your excitement.
I
So
want
let's just,
to explain it so that it's just really understandable because it took me a week to really get it down. I hope it takes me, 30 minutes to explain it to you and
like
that we're
Michael
all on the
Scott
same
from
page.
The Office. Now explain it to me like I'm 5 years old.
That's what I want to do.
Perfect.
Okay. So first we're going to talk about omega-6.
All right.
You have to have them both. Omega-6 is the one we're talking about first. It is primarily used for energy. It is a pro-inflammatory.
So it creates inflammation.
It does. And you think that's bad. And it is bad,
Right.
but your body does need some inflammation. That's actually how we fight off infection, disease, things of the such. Is you always
Okay.
need to have a small amount of inflammation. It kind of keeps things working.
Okay.
Makes sense, kind of, right?
Guess so. I take your word for it, Dr. Joyce.
But too much inflammation causes...
That's where all the the core of a lot of issues in your body, right, can be traced down to inflammation.
Almost every disease can be caused by inflammation. So we are eating so much foods that are so high in omega-6 that we're causing an excess of inflammation in our bodies. So this is what's happening.
Do you have any example of like what foods are high in omega-6?
Yeah, we're going to get there. But first, let me tell you what's happening because of the excess inflammation.
Right. Okay.
High blood pressure, blood clots, stroke, retaining water, something as simple as retaining water, increase in obesity, heart attack, depression, and violent tendencies. And that's really a big thing.
Violent tendencies?
Violent tendencies, just based on...
Here I thought it was video games.
I'm telling you.
Video games must be high in omega-6s.
Yeah, and when you hear, depression is like running rampant in America right now.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the foods we're eating, you might think, maybe we should look at this.
That's why it's funny you say that because I just heard on a radio or another podcast, something like that, how collectively in the world, like we're getting better at cancer, we're getting better at solving cancer, we're extending the lifeline
I
along
would
those
say we're getting
things.
better at curing cancer.
Correct.
I would not
So
say our cancer rates are getting better.
No. We're getting better at dealing with that and extending
Yes.
the lifespan of those. But the overall average lifespan of especially American stuff like that is still decreasing because of the increase in depression
Yeah.
and suicide and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like we're doing good on this side, but on this side we're really missing the mark. So there could be a lot of truth to this.
And I do want to state, we have not suffered with depression, and I don't
We
want to
can't
take
talk
that
to
lightly.
that. Yeah.
I am saying I think this is worth looking at, but I'm certainly not saying if you're depressed, it's because of your diet. I'm definitely not saying that. But I would say it's worth investigating because
willing
if
to
it's
bet
that
that
simple
most-
of a fix,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic.
Why not try it, right?
Okay. So, like I said, you do have to have omega-6 in your
Mm-hmm.
diet. What is recommended daily is about 17 grams for men and 12 grams for women. That's not a lot.
No, it's not much at all.
So let's talk about what we're actually eating. Soybean oil. Everything that you eat that is fried is probably fried in soybean oil, if not corn oil, canola oil, something along those lines. Soybean oil has 50 grams per serving. 50, and you're allowed at 17 per day.
Huh.
And this is per serving. Corn oil, 49 grams. So not really any better.
No, but we've learned that corn is bad news.
Yeah,
like corn is not what it.
Steer clear.
Yeah.
Mayo, and of course we're talking about oil-based mayos, 39 grams. Now
these are just servings you're talking about. Like we're talking about like
Yes.
small little doses and everything like
They're
that.
serving size. Walnuts, which I would consider a very healthy food. Even now, I still consider a very healthy food.
Yeah, we have bags of them upstairs right
37 grams per serving. Now, I make this keto oatmeal in the morning, and I top it with walnuts almost every day. So maybe I won't do it every day. I'm still going to eat walnuts. They still are a great fatty nut, and they have so many nutritional benefits. And I do need to get omega-6. And I don't eat any of the other ones that I discussed. So this might be
That's your source,
That's
right?
probably my source, but still really high, 37 grams. So just something to keep in mind. Maybe I need to cut back a little bit on them. Sunflower seeds, 34 grams. And we send our kids with sunflower seed butter in their sandwiches almost every day.
now. Right, and every time I play softball, I'm chomping
You
a
chomp
handful
on
of
sunflower seeds. Yeah, that's one of our like favorite sun butter in our house. Like we eat
Because
that by the spoonful.
Tad has a peanut allergy,
Yeah,
so
we
we
can't do
switched over to
peanut.
sun butter.
Almonds getting better, 12 grams. So that's pretty doable.
Okay.
And then
but just a serving. I mean,
just a
serving
serving,
is like
just a serving, yeah. And then cashews is only 8 grams, so that's probably the best
I
of the
love
nuts
cashews.
as far as omega-6 is concerned. But if you know me and you've talked food with me, you know I never recommend eating cashews. They're not even a nut; they're a legume.
That's what I was just gonna say. I'm like, I really love cashews, but I know they're not in like
They're not
good-
ideal. They're pretty high in carbs. They're pretty high in inflammation, even though they're only 8 grams in
They're
omega-6.
also high and yummy.
They are. I will say of all the nuts, and I'll use that in quotation because they were not a real nut, they are the most delicious. You just hands down. A cashew is delicious. And
It
I'm
is
not saying you should
so
never
good.
eat cashews. It just should not be part of your daily
Like a regular
diet. Probably.
Well, that and who can afford to make them a part of your regular diet?
Yeah, they could be pricey nuts.
They are pricey nuts.
Okay.
Nuts, air
So, so yes, omega-6, you need to eat them. You have to have them in your diet, but the amount we're consuming is so incredibly detrimental to our health right now, just based basically on oils, because we're eating a lot of fried food, even things like salad dressing. If you're not getting it with pure olive oil, you're getting it done with soybean oil, you know? So when you eat out, they're not concerned about giving you high quality olive oil. Probably you're getting a cheaper oil.
Soybean is kind of taking over everything because
Everything.
of allergies. It tends to be like that
It's the
allergy
go-to
neutral,
oil.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you, millennials.
So yeah, it is a big concern. I do want to say, so I don't get people informing me, I do know not all omega-6s are created equally, and some of them, when you eat them, will convert into a different fatty acid, which will make them beneficial for your body. So a perfect example of that would be evening primrose oil. I know a lot of people take that as a supplementation.
Say that again.
Evening primrose oil.
Primrose. Okay.
That's a common thing that some people will take to supplement with for different ailments, and it tends to be, you know, a well-respected, high-quality way to do it. But when you take that, it converts into your body into a completely different fatty acid, one we're not even talking about. So not all omega-6s are created the same, and if you're taking some sort of a supplement, which would probably be an oil-based, not a vegetable oil-based, that's been recommended by your doctor, I would just investigate how is that being processed, and if it is converting into a different fatty acid, great. And if it is staying in omega-6, I would maybe consider nixing it. I mean, obviously discuss it with your doctor, not your, you know, friendly hairstylist who likes to talk about health on a podcast.
Yeah, consult an actual professional.
An actual professional.
We are not experts, but Joyce has done enough studying to get us started down that road.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna go back to this, but for now, omega-6, you have to have it. Very
But
small amounts.
not as
We're
much as
having
you're
it
getting.
in very massive amounts. Okay. So,
I wonder if Chick-fil-A knows this.
well, Chick-fil-A uses peanut oil.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know about peanut oil.
Huh.
We should have investigated that. Maybe you can Google that.
Googling. All right.
Anyway, so we're going to move on to omega-3s. And it's slightly more complicated because we're going to talk about it in 3 different segments, sort of. Omega-3s contain something called EPA, and that reduces inflammation. So it's an anti-inflammatory. That's really good. We're going to talk about DHA, and that's for your brain development and function. Again, really, really good. And then ALA, and that's really just for energy. So when you think about omega-3s, think about it in 3 different segments: inflammation or anti-inflammation, brain development, and energy. So the first 2 are really...
Before you jump into this,
Okay,
I did
go
do a
ahead.
quick Google search. Peanut oil is very high in omega-6s and lacks omega-3s.
Okay, so peanut oil is probably about the same
Probably
as
right up there
corn
with those
oil.
other ones. Yeah, there's no direct, but everything about it says it's very high.
But it is Chick-fil-A, so we're going to just let that slide.
It's blessed food, so it's got to be good.
Delicious.
All right. Okay.
Anyway.
I'm sorry I had to interject.
No, I appreciate it.
That was my
That was his
informational
contribution to the omega topic.
Now I can say we did this together.
High five. Okay. So we're really going to concentrate on the first 2,
Okay.
the EPA and the DHA. You don't have to worry about that at all, but it is super duper important when you think about infants. Those are the ones that you see all over the like formula bottles, like high in DHA, high in EPA, because these are the ways we develop an infant's brain. Like literally, a infant's brain will not develop without the omega-3 fatty acids.
Okay.
It's that important. That's what like what's in mother's milk. That's what's in formula. Like it is a big deal if you're deficient in omega-3 because of those 2 parts of the omega-3. Okay. So like I said, it's an anti-inflammatory, which we all generally have way too much inflammation in our bodies. So this is only going to benefit us. It will increase your good cholesterol, and it will reduce your triglycerides, your blood pressure, and the plaque in your arteries. It will support mental health. So we were just talking about how if you're too high in omega-6, your mental health can really go off the charts.
Right.
But this will help kind of bring it back. It will actually reduce your weight and your waist size. I've never seen anything in all my research that has said it will
Legitimately said.
reduce your waist size.
I wonder how that works. I guess it
How
just
can they say that? I don't know, but
maybe you're collecting inflammation in that area or something.
oh,
like
you're
that?
probably right. That's probably it. Is inflammation tends to be in your midsection.
Gathers up right there. Huh.
Good job, babe.
Science.
It will decrease the fat in your liver. So, fatty liver is kind of like on the rise now. Promotes bone health and will prevent asthma. If we knew this when Taden was, 2
Really?
years old and diagnosed with asthma, he would have been eating some serious omega-3 foods his
Like
whole life.
slamming fish the whole time,
Yeah.
right? Or you'll get to that. What foods are heavy on that? I'm assuming.
Yes. So if you are deficient in omega-3s, you can probably be subject to some chronic illnesses such as obesity, diabetes, heart disease, depression, anxiety, and skin issues such as acne, rashes, anything of the sort. So when you're deficient in omega-3s, there's a lot of consequences. You may note, or maybe you don't, I didn't have a list of deficiencies for omega-6s because nobody's deficient in omega-6.
Right.
We are getting plenty of that from our diet, way too much, but we are definitely not getting omega-3s because if you look at this list, everybody has something on this list.
Just going down this list, this is what's wrong with like the Western culture health, chronic
I
diseases,
know growing up,
obesity.
we both
diabetes.
really suffered with acne. Like that was a really bad.
Oh yeah.
Even as adults, we both suffered
We're
with acne.
scared for our children because when they hit that phase,
They're going to get it bad because they got our genes.
we're both genetic. Depression, anxiety, all these things. This is the
Yeah.
Western civilization right there. Wow, that's
Yeah. So
pretty
it does
telling.
make me wonder when people seek medical advice for just their mental health, are they even being suggested like up your omega-3? Is that even something doctors are talking about? I don't know.
right.
Just food for thought.
We have to keep adding that caveat. Obviously, we'll just put the general consensus on this. We're not doctors. This
Right,
is just
of
research
course.
that we've done from experts. But even then,
But we do know people who suffer with anxiety. We know people who suffer with depression, and it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And people don't want to go on medication. I think they do it as a last resort because they have to. And
that's kind of been the unfortunate default for a lot of things down the road. And I know, like, we can't paint it with a broad stroke and say no one needs medication, but
No, of
there are
course
some
not.
people who can adjust their diet, can adjust their lifestyle, and
Or
go without.
at least maybe can. At least
Start down that
maybe
road,
try.
right? Approach it.
Certainly if you're on medication for anxiety or depression, that's your prerogative, and we think you should do what you need to do to get help.
Right.
We're just saying, I came across this and I thought it was really interesting based on what we are eating as Americans and what the science
And there are
is
lots
saying.
of examples out there, maybe not just, but where people have changed their diet and they've been able to wean themselves off of different medications, change
yeah.
down the road. I think it's one of those things where you kind of got to, what are you willing to try? Like, what road are you willing to explore
And not
down
even
there
that,
with your doctor?
I'm just more curious, are the doctors even telling people this?
I'm going to go out on a limb and
Because
say
nobody
probably
told
not.
us when we had a son diagnosed with asthma, hey, if you up his omega-3s, that might help. Nobody told, that was not a conversation we had.
No.
And if it was a conversation we had, we would have done it overnight.
Oh, yeah, especially knowing you would have been the expert going into the next meeting.
We would have never made it home without stopping to get some sort of supplement.
Right.
So anyway, so now we're going to talk about the recommended amounts of your omega-3s. For men, it's 1.6 grams a day. So that's
nothing
not,
compared to...
no, but wait till you hear how to get it. Most people aren't getting it.
Okay.
And for women, 1.1 grams a day. So the best way...
Now, the omega-6s was 17 for men.
Yeah, roughly. So the balance should be about 4 times as much omega-6 to 1 times omega-3. So
Okay.
4 to 1. And we in America are getting upwards of 50 times
50 to 1? Okay, that's
so
a
it
little...
should be 4 to 1, and we're getting about 50 to 1. Some people, they say, can get up to 100 parts to 1. And if you're doing really, really well, you might be doing like 8 or 10 to 1. So
Wow.
just to talk about, like, this is a big deal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a lot of imbalance. And that's what we hear. You're like, oh, your body's imbalanced. Everyone's got
Everyone
an
says it, right?
imbalance. Maybe this is part of the imbalance, because that is a shocking statistic.
That's crazy. No,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. All right, so what's
So
up?
how can we get our omega-3s in? It's really not that hard, but I will say we're doing none of this right now. Like
We?
yes, you
Like
and me,
us?
the Rimple household, we aren't doing any of this.
Really?
No.
And I consider us to be doing a healthy lifestyle now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like 90% healthy, right?
Yeah, we try.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to be eating fatty fishes. They have to be wild caught. None of these statistics count if they are farm raised. They will be very high in omega-6. We want it to be
Because
high
of the
in
way they're feeding them,
omega-3.
like they're feeding them to fatten them up or something like that, or
I really don't know.
Okay,
to
it's a
give
whole
you-
nother- that's a whole
nother thing. I know that farm raised
we didn't
is
get that rabbit trail
bad
on YouTube yet.
and wild caught is good. That's as
Okay.
far as I know.
So what are you going to tell us? What
Yeah,
types
yeah,
of fish
yeah.
they are?
So salmon is your best bet. You want to buy it
Yes.
wild caught with the skin on, 4 grams per serving, and you only need 1.6 a day.
4 grams per serving. So that's like a quarter of a slab,
Yeah.
of it, isn't it? That's like
Yep.
nothing.
But we're not eating it.
No,
Once
we're
in
not.
a blue moon, we get it.
Right. Like when I go out to eat and I want to change it up a little bit.
You get a salmon. And when you're going out to eat, you're probably getting it wild caught. So, I mean, you're probably getting
Right.
it farm raised, so that doesn't even count. So, yeah, this is something we need to be incorporating.
We need to go to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
If you watch any of those Alaska shows,
I think we could probably just get it shipped in, but whatevs.
okay, field trip.
Okay. Yeah, field trip. Okay.
Doing life radio on the road.
So the next one would be mackerel, which I've never had. I don't know if you've ever had mackerel.
I feel like I've had it back in the day, but I couldn't
I feel
point
like
it
you
out
just
to you.
say it, holy mackerel, but we don't actually eat it.
If it's a holy mackerel, do you get more out of it?
Maybe. I don't know. That didn't say.
Holy mackerel.
So anyway, 3 grams per serving in mackerel. Sardines, 2.2 grams. I don't think I've actually ever had sardines.
I've only had them in competitions. We use them a lot for the games, like for the kids and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, but you're probably not
you have
getting
to
wild
eat-
caught. Well, I guess they probably
I
don't
have
farm raise
no
sardines,
idea.
actually.
That's
I bet they don't even bother to raise them farm
I
raised.
can't imagine why not. They're so small and so quick to raise.
I don't know. And
They
then
come in a little can, you roll it open.
then anchovies at 1 gram.
Hard
so even
pass
if
on
you,
those two.
yeah, I've
Hard
not
pass.
had them either. But even if you only had
1 gram?
one serving of anchovies
That's
a
like
day,
just
you
popping.
would meet your
So
recommendation.
you just pop an anchovy in like you would a
Yeah.
pill, right?
Right. So that's what they're saying is your like number one ways. There are some like grass-fed meats and such as well, but they don't hold a candle to the fishes. The fishes are really
They're just
where
the
it's
easy way.
at.
Bam, they're
You
in.
get it, you're done.
Now, can you OD on omega-3s?
I don't believe you can. I've
Okay.
never come across
No one said you get too
anything
much
saying
omega-3.
to be careful of the amount of omega-3s. Everything is talking about how you can up it or how you can supplement with it.
Okay. Now, these are daily totals that we're trying to get?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do want to touch on something for our vegan friends. There are.
Hold on. We have vegan friends?
Well, I don't know who's listening.
Someone listening, vegans?
Yeah.
Vegans are very friendly with each other, but I know like there's this stigma against vegans. Everyone feels like vegans are trying to push their agenda on us.
I don't think they're trying to push their agenda on me. I just want to say that omega-3s also exist in chia seeds, walnut, and flax seeds. And it's a very common thing, from what I understand, for vegans to want to get their omega-3s from those sources.
So you said
But-
walnuts?
Yeah, walnuts have both, right? Omega-3s and omega-6s.
They're like the superfood when it comes to omegas.
No, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
These three, the chia seeds, the walnuts, the flax seeds, the ones that are not fish, those are omega-3, but only because they contain ALA. Now, I don't know if you remember, I said there were 3 parts, and the first 2 were super duper important, and the other one was just for energy.
Right, the DHE, the EPL, or something like that.
Sure. This is the one that was really just for energy. Has nothing to do with brain function, brain health, has nothing to do with anything like that. This is merely for energy. So it doesn't really matter that they're considered omega-3 because they don't have the first 2, which are the good ones.
Okay.
Now, you can argue that they can convert into the good ones, and they can, but at about a 1% rate. So
Oy.
you're
Yeah, it's
getting
not even-
nothing.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Throw the chia seeds away. You don't need them.
Huh. Sorry, vegans.
Anyway.
I'm sorry on so many levels.
Okay, so we already did talk about the recommended ratio is about 4.
4 to 1, and we're
Right.
typically at 50 to 1. In some
Yes.
worst case scenarios, 100 to 1. Yeesh.
And it gets even worse.
Oh. Okay.
So they are competing in the body for the same enzymes. And the omega-6s will always win.
Because it's 6.
I
6
guess.
beats 3.
So if you are constantly overdoing the omega-6s and underdoing the omega-3s, your body's virtually getting none of the benefits from the
You'll never-
omega-3s.
okay.
And you will truly be out of balance. So it's so super important that you hit those daily recommendations of your omega-3s.
So, for example, if you're like at 50 to 1, that 1's almost non-existent.
Doesn't
because
matter.
You're so crazy.
Doesn't even matter.
It's not,
Yep.
that 1 isn't doing anything.
It's competing for the same enzyme, and when you're fighting 50 to 1, the one's never going to win. This
Right.
isn't David and
4 to
Goliath.
The 4 to 1 kind of helps
Yeah.
out.
Okay, so let's talk about what we can do about this.
Okay.
What you can do, these
is what
are
we all
like
wanna know.
your recommendations from the interweb.
The www?
Yeah,
All right.
that's the one. Okay, so
hope
it says
people know about that.
2 servings of oily fish per week, and we actually like fish.
We love fish. I love salmon. So
I was
this
going
is
to say the
this is
only
getting
fish on
exciting.
that particular list that we care for is salmon.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that we would do salmon twice a week, but maybe once a week is something we
Yeah.
should definitely incorporate.
If we can
next
get out
week,
and catch it, yeah, we're on it.
you can purchase wild caught. You don't have to catch it yourself.
There's something so manly about catching your own salmon.
And then the other recommendation is just switch completely over to olive oil. So any of your cooking, your
pure
cooking,
olive
your
oil?
baking, right?
Extra
so,
virgin olive oil, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
like get rid of your corn oil, your soybean oil, your vegetable oil, your canola oil. Like they are very cheap. They're actually grain oils, even though we call them vegetable oils because that sounds so much nicer. They're terrible in your body.
Really?
So if you just nix those from your life and switch to olive oil in your cooking, your baking, and your like salad dressings, that will make a huge difference.
Okay.
You can't really do that when you eat out. They're definitely using soybean oil. They're not using pure olive oil. I mean, maybe in a very high end restaurant they're using pure olive oil, but I would definitely ask. Even in a high end restaurant, you just never know. So those are the 2 things you can do at home.
Excuse
Incorporate.
me, waiter. How's your oil in its omega-3s?
So yeah, start eating some fatty fish. We're definitely going to go the salmon route
Fatty fish.
and switch to just olive oil in your house. I'm literally, I don't even know if I have vegetable oil in this
That's what
house,
I'm
but
saying.
if I do, it's trash.
Don't you
It's done.
cook in you cook in like the MTC oil a lot, right?
I don't cook in MCT oil. I cook usually in ghee.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, the MCT oil you save for your coffee or something like that, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So, last but not least, you can always supplement with an omega-3.
Like a pill?
Like a pill.
Okay.
Yeah. Not they don't have to be a pill, but yes, like a pill.
Gotcha.
A lot of supplements will be like a nice balance of omega-3, 6, and 9 all in one. You don't need that. Your body's going to make the 9 all on its own. No need for you to step in and help. Your body knows what to do.
We've already established the 6s are everywhere.
The 6s, you have too many. Please don't supplement with a 6 unless your doctor has told you so, or if it's with one of those omega-6 oils that converts into a different fatty acid, like the primrose oil, or there's several that are just fine. Just don't take a random, just a blanket statement omega-6 oil.
Gotcha.
You're just going to cause way too much inflammation in your body. So stick to one that's just an omega-3 all by itself. Keep in mind that omegas are very easily oxidized when exposed to heat and to light. So when we're taking something into a supplement form, we generally expose them to heat and to light. So you want to be very careful not to get one that's oxidized. You don't want to eat it if it's gone rancid. So you want to make sure that it's cold pressed. If it doesn't say cold pressed on it, don't buy it. It's probably going to do nothing for you.
So you're saying like cold press omega-3s, it'll say something just like that.
It will literally say cold pressed on the package. If it doesn't have those words, cold pressed,
Run
it
for the
probably
hills.
has oxidized, and it's just not going to do anything.
Gotcha.
It's done. You also want it to contain an antioxidant, just another sort of safeguard to make sure we're not oxidizing it before we consume it. So it will contain an antioxidant. It's probably going to be vitamin E. So keep an eye out for vitamin E. You want to take a fairly high dose. You want it to be worth your while. You want it to be at least 0.3 grams for it to be worth your while. And you want to get it from a fish oil. Cod liver oil's a really popular way. People are just like scooping. That's what I've seen is people are taking like tablespoons of cod liver oil every day as a supplement.
I haven't seen people do that, but I've seen like fish oil being out there. So this is why they're taking it.
Yep,
For the
cod
omega-3s.
liver oil's a great way, but you want to make sure for sure you're getting it from a fish oil. You are not getting it from a flaxseed. Apparently it's popular to sell omega-3s in flaxseed oil form, but don't forget, if you get it in flaxseed, that's an ALA.
ALA.
So it will give you energy. That's it. That's all it's going to give
End
you.
of story. It's not going to give you the omega-3 boost that you need.
Right. Don't even think about it.
So in case you're wondering right now, you're listening or you're watching and you're going through all this and you're like, how in the world can I possibly remember? We're going to put this in the show notes. So put it down in the notes. If you're listening on Podomatic, it'll be down there. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be down in the notes. Just the basic gist of these things that she's written down.
But I think we went through the whole like gamut.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it can be boiled down really simply.
Let's nutshell it. Let's put it in a take home bag for everyone.
Here's your take home bag. Cut out oils except for olive oil.
Trim down to olive oil. Gotcha.
Let's see. Eat a fatty fish once or twice a week, like
Eat
salmon.
fat fish. Isn't Flounder from Little Mermaid? He's a fat fish, isn't he?
I don't think flounder is considered a fatty fish.
But no, him himself is a fat fish. Whales are fat fish, or they're fat mammals.
Yeah,
Fatty
I would
fish.
say those are probably
Those are the big things you want to do.
Yeah, eat fish and don't eat oil unless it's olive oil. Those are probably the biggest ways. And oil is not easy to avoid. It's at every fast food chain, every restaurant, all your salad dressings, all of your mayos, unless you are actively trying not to. Like we actively buy a mayonnaise that's based with avocado oil so that we don't have soybean oil in our mayonnaise. But that's not like just picking it off the shelf in the grocery store. There's literally one in our grocery store that is not an oil
And
base.
if it's bought out, it's probably in our fridge.
Yeah. I do have a habit of if I see something that I want and it's not easy to find, of literally buying every single one on the shelf. Actually, I got a text message today from a friend who said she couldn't get the sweetener she wanted and she knows it's because I buy them all every time I go in. I'm like,
so
guilty.
Joyce is that friend. She'll make all the recommendations. This is what you need. She'll go to the store. This is what we use all the time. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, BT dubs, don't go on like Tuesday because I'm shopping on Tuesday.
Yeah. One of my friends
She'll snag it all up.
my local grocery store does not carry moon cheese, but the same store in a different town does. And when I heard about it, I drove there and I bought them all off the shelf, every single bag, because now I don't have to order from Amazon and we are stocked all moon cheese. So yeah, that is how I roll. I get everyone on the shelf. I mean, unless it's something that's going to go bad.
And what is it? We walked by, we were shopping together, which we almost never do, and you grabbed something. We were walking by.
I will grab something that I don't even need, just one of them, just to let the store know that people are buying it. He's like, why are you buying that? I'm like, I just don't want the store to stop carrying it. I want to encourage them that people are buying it.
Literally just grabbed one and threw it in.
Yeah, I do that. Well, I used to do it with the Real Good Foods, but now I buy from them wholesale. But I do it with the skinny pasta. We probably have a dozen of them upstairs. But every time I step in the grocery store, I buy one because I don't want them to stop carrying it. I just want to encourage them that people are buying this. I don't want them to stop.
I love the mind. I mean, you're there to manipulate the system. You're taking care of the man. You're going through. I mean, that's what I used to do with the M&Ms. I want to make sure they keep supplying the M&Ms. So I was grabbing one on the way out the door. It was my way of saying, hey.
If they see that the SKU is never getting scanned, they're not going to carry it anymore.
I understand.
So I have to just buy one every time I step in.
I applaud you for the process. I think I happen to think it's genius, but I was so caught off guard. You just
I'm like, gotta just
grab
one.
It, put it in. I'm like, what in the world? Like, why just? And it was like a small, like single serving something or other, and you're like, I gotta grab it, so they keep stocking it. I'm like, what? Like, threw me off. It's good.
I've got a system,
and apparently it's working. They still have it, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, we have a storage unit of 250 pieces of it, but the store still has it, so we're good to go. That's all that really matters. Okay, so let's go back. So basically, in your omega life, don't intentionally add 6 or 9. 9 you create. Right. 6 you already get in so many different ways.
And 6 isn't bad. I want to preference that. It's not bad, but 6 in massive quantity is really bad. And we are eating it in massive quantity here in like civilized countries.
Like you can't avoid getting 6 because it's just going to be everywhere. Yeah. Okay. But 3's, to be intentional with your 3's.
You have to be intentional about the 3's. We are probably all, at least most of us, very deficient in omega 3's. Mm-hmm. I would say we are for sure not getting our recommended amount, but we are going to make some serious changes.
We're going to be very soon. And BTW, if you happen to know where I can pick up some live salmon. I
don't want live salmon.
Fresh caught salmon, wild caught salmon. Yeah. Or if you're going on a trip to Alaska and you'd like to bring me with you, so we can catch salmon there.
Well, there's subscription boxes for wild caught fish. Like we get the subscription for Butcher Box where we get our beef. We can get a subscription box for the fish. So that's probably what we'll do. We'll just have it shipped to the house. It'll come once a month. I'm all about having something just show up at my house.
Flopping around. Oh, you're so excited. Every time you're like, did my stuff come? Did my stuff come?
I love getting shipments. I love it. I love it.
Well, and we're kind of trying to manipulate the system. This is a whole nother topic. We don't have to dive into it. But if you're able to buy in bulk something that you're going to use, and then by all means buy in bulk. You'll save money. You don't have to go out. It'll show up to you.
And high quality food is really expensive. Yes. And we just decided, we're going to bite the bullet and spend our money on food, on good quality food, because you're either going to pay the grocer now or you're going to pay the doctor later. That's what it comes down to.
And for a couple here that's living without health insurance,
we're all about
don't
paying
tell
the
government.
Grocer. Yeah. No, the government knows. They know.
They know.
They email me all the time.
Thank you.
So yeah, high quality food is expensive, but step out of your box a little and try things you've never tried. Like I literally the other day just emailed the company and I was like, hey, I love your food and I would really like to stock my freezer with it. Could I possibly buy wholesale? And they were like, sure, if you order this much, we'll sell to you wholesale. So now I'm getting them for less than half of what I was paying just because I wrote them an email. Yeah. So just think outside the box. I know there's a couple of families we're talking about going in together and purchasing an entire cow and having a butcher.
We have talked about it for so long. We want to buy
now
a
we
cow.
finally have the people.
Name him Melvin. I want to keep him in my backyard and have him as my very own.
No, we're not going to ever see him alive. The butcher is going to take care of it before we ever get it. But we're literally all going to chip in. We're going to purchase the cow. We're going to have it butchered, and we're going to have meat, for a very long time. So there are some different, very creative ways to save some money. And it is work and it takes a lot of research, but we want to help you through that process. We're doing the work, so take advantage of that.
By she means she is doing the work and I bring the boxes in when they show up.
Yeah. No, he helps. But yeah, if you have any tips or tricks on how to eat well on a budget or, anything along those lines, let us know.
I think probably in a future podcast time or two, we'll have to kind of sit down and say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Because I think this is information everyone wants to know. But today we learned about
omega-3s and omega-6s.
Omega what? That's going to be the title of the thing. She was so excited. Like, she's going through it. She goes, I know exactly what we're going to do on the next
That's right.
podcast. It's going to be Omega what? And I'm like, what? She
Yeah.
goes,
I had the
"It'll be about
title all
omegas."
figured out before I did any of the research.
It's a wonderful way how it worked out. So that's it for, I think that's it for us, right? We got nothing
I
else.
think so. I hope you learned something. Please let us know in the comments.
Yes.
And it does really help us so much more than you know if you just leave a rating and a review. We really need that.
Yeah, we definitely do, especially out there in Potomatic. We are still working on the other angles now that summer's kind of hit. Hopefully, I'll get a little more time to work on the other.
I'm doing my
Spotify
part.
and, yeah, I know. And for some reason, iTunes does not like me. I'm having a hard time communicating with
Maybe
them.
because we're not an Apple family.
We are not an Apple family. We are a Samsung family. But we don't even eat apples anymore. Thanks, Keto. All right, that's it for me.
That's it for me.
Bye bye.